Stop scrolling, please, just for a moment, stop and listen, because what I'm about to share with you could directly affect the money you receive every single month, the healthcare you depend on, and the independence you've spent a lifetime earning. If you are 60 or older, if you have a parent, a grandparent, or a loved one who relies on Social Security, this video is not optional. This is not clickbait. This is not fear-mongering. The Social Security Administration has issued new guidance following a significant policy shift, and there are steps that some beneficiaries need to take before specific deadlines pass. Missing those windows could cost you, so stay with me because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you stand, what's changed, and what, if anything, you need to do next. Here's the thing. Most of us don't sit around reading government policy documents. We shouldn't have to. You've worked your whole life, paid into this system for decades, and the expectation, the reasonable, fair expectation, is that when the time comes, it works for you. But lately, that hasn't always been the reality. Letters go unread because the language is confusing, phone lines are jammed, local offices have long wait times, and honestly, a lot of people have just felt like the system wasn't designed with them in mind. That's exactly why this moment matters. Because right now, in 2025 and into 2026, the Social Security Administration has made a series of updates to how benefits are calculated, how identity verification works, how overpayment policies are handled, and how certain protections are applied. These aren't rumors. These are documented changes, and you deserve to understand them in plain language. Let's go back a little. For years, honestly, for decades, seniors navigating Social Security have faced a system that felt overwhelming. Think about what it actually means to retire in America today. You've got rising grocery bills, prescription drug costs that went up year after year, utility bills that seem to double every few winters. Meanwhile, the COLA adjustments, the cost of living increases to Social Security, often felt like a drop in the bucket compared to what things actually cost. And on top of the financial pressure, there was the constant threat of scams. Fraudsters specifically targeting seniors, phone calls pretending to be the SSA, fake letters, threats of arrest over unpaid government fees. The fear was real and it was widespread. Many seniors lived month to month, terrified to make a mistake, terrified to pick up the phone. That's the backdrop. That's the reality that shaped why these new policy shifts and the guidance coming out of the Social Security Office right now actually matter so much. Let's talk about the first major change, and this one has direct financial consequences. The Social Security Administration has significantly revised its overpayment recovery policy. Here's what that means in real terms. In the past, if the SSA determined that you had been overpaid, even if it wasn't your fault, even if it was their administrative error, they had the authority to withhold 100% of your monthly benefit to recover that money. Imagine living on $300 to $400 a month and suddenly receiving nothing. That happened to real people. Seniors who had done nothing wrong found themselves with zero income because of a bureaucratic mistake. Under the updated guidance, the default withholding rate for most overpayment recovery cases has been reduced substantially, with greater protections for individuals who demonstrate financial hardship. You now have clearer, stronger rights to appeal, to request a waiver, and to negotiate a repayment plan that doesn't leave you without income. This is a meaningful, tangible change, and if you've received any overpayment notice in the past or receive one in the future, you need to know these rights exist. The second change touches something that affects daily life in a very immediate way, and that's how identity verification is being handled going forward. For a period, there was real concern about proposed changes to in-person verification requirements that would have made it significantly harder for elderly individuals, people with disabilities, and those in rural areas to access their benefits. The backlash was loud, and the SSA responded. The updated guidance now makes clear that phone-based verification remains available for most service requests, and that vulnerable populations, including those over a certain age or with documented mobility or health limitations, will not be forced into processes they cannot reasonably complete. Why does this matter for your monthly income? Because delays in verification have historically caused payment interruptions. People who couldn't get to an office in time saw their deposits hold. Under the new framework, those interruptions should be less common. And the pathway to resolving any issues is clearer and more accessible than it's been in recent years. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the protection side of Social Security. Specifically, protections against fraud, elder financial abuse, and the kind of manipulation that targets people who are isolated, grieving, or simply not aware of what the real SSA will and won't do. One of the significant elements in the new guidance involves enhanced fraud detection protocols and clearer public communication about what legitimate Social Security contact actually looks like. The SSA has reinforced loudly that their agents will never call you and demand immediate payment. They will never threaten arrest. They will never ask for your bank account number over the phone to protect your benefits. They will never request payment in gift cards. These are scams. Every single one of them. And the new public guidance specifically instructs field offices to be more proactive in educating beneficiaries about these tactics, including through written materials sent alongside official correspondence. If you or someone you love has ever been frightened by one of those calls, this increased institutional effort to combat it is genuinely meaningful. There's another layer of protection worth understanding, and this one relates to representative payees. A representative payee is someone appointed to receive and manage Social Security benefits on behalf of someone who cannot manage their own finances due to age, illness, or disability. It's a necessary arrangement for many families, but it has also in some cases been abused. Adult children, distant relatives, or even caregivers with ulterior motives have misused this role at the expense of the very seniors they were supposed to help. The updated SSA guidance increases monitoring requirements for representative payees, tightens the accountability standards, and makes it easier for a beneficiary or a concerned family member to flag potential misuse. If you have a loved one who has a payee and something feels off, the money isn't being used for their care, the bills aren't getting paid, questions are being deflected. There is now a more direct pathway to raise that concern with the SSA. This protection is long overdue. Let's talk about something personal: staying in your own home. For most seniors, independence isn't just a preference, it's a sense of dignity. It's the difference between feeling like yourself and feeling like a burden. Social Security income is often the primary financial anchor that makes aging in place possible. When those payments are disrupted, even temporarily, it creates a cascade. Rent doesn't get paid, utilities get shut off, prescriptions go unfilled, and suddenly, a temporary bureaucratic issue becomes a genuine housing or health crisis. The new guidance includes provisions that prioritize continuity of payment during any transition periods related to system changes or verification processes. In other words, if there is an administrative change being implemented, the SSA is explicitly directed to avoid interrupting payments to beneficiaries while that process is underway. For people whose independence depends entirely on that monthly deposit arriving on time, this commitment to continuity is not small. It is everything. We don't talk enough about what financial stress does to the mind and the spirit. Anxiety around money is one of the leading contributors to depression among adults over 65. When you've worked your whole life and you're not sure if your next payment is coming, or if you've received a scary-looking letter about an overpayment you don't understand, it weighs on you in ways that affect your sleep, your relationships, your health. There is no shame in that. It's a completely human response to a genuinely stressful situation. Part of why these policy changes matter isn't just about the dollars. It's about being able to wake up in the morning without that knot in your stomach. It's about knowing the system is working for you, not against you. The SSA, under pressure from advocacy groups and legislators, has also acknowledged the need for improved communication, clearer letters, better explanations, and less jargon in official notices. For the millions of seniors who have felt confused and dismissed by bureaucratic language, that acknowledgement is a start. For families, these changes carry a different kind of weight. Adult children are often the ones fielding phone calls from a parent who got a letter they don't understand, or who received a voicemail from someone claiming to be the government. They're the ones taking time off work to drive their mother to an office that's 45 minutes away, sitting in waiting rooms, trying to be patient while also managing their own jobs and kids and stress. Caregiving in America is largely invisible and deeply undervalued. And when Social Security processes create extra hurdles, extra verification steps, confusing notices, interrupted payments, it's often the family that absorbs that burden. The improvements to phone access, the clearer written communications, and the expanded protections for vulnerable populations are not just good for the beneficiaries themselves, they're good for every family member who is quietly holding things together behind the scenes. If this resonates with you, share this video with your family. They need to know this too. Healthcare is inseparable from all of this. For most seniors, Social Security income is directly tied to Medicare premiums. The standard Medicare Part B premium is deducted automatically from Social Security payments, which means any change to your Social Security benefit, any hold or interruption can have ripple effects on your healthcare coverage. Additionally, for those who qualify for extra help, the federal program that assists with Medicare prescription drug costs, the updated SSA guidance includes improved outreach and simpler re-enrollment processes. If your income or circumstances changed in the past year and you haven't looked at whether you qualify for extra help or for Medicare savings programs that cover your premiums, now is the time to check. These programs exist specifically to make sure that healthcare doesn't become financially out of reach. The new guidance includes a directive for SSA field offices to actively inform eligible beneficiaries about these programs rather than waiting for people to ask. Here's the part where I need you to pay close attention, because this is where action matters. Some of these changes are automatic. They apply to you without you doing anything, but others require you to initiate something. If you have received a notice about overpayment, do not ignore it. You have a right to appeal, a right to request a waiver if repayment would cause financial hardship, and a right to request a lower withholding rate. Those requests typically need to be made within a specific window from the date of the notice, often 30 to 60 days. If that window passes, your options narrow significantly. Similarly, if you believe you may qualify for extra help with Medicare drug costs, or if your income has changed and you haven't updated your information with the SSA, take action now. You can call 1-800-772-1213, visit ssa.gov, or go to your local Social Security office. Don't wait for the system to find you. In many cases, it won't. Let me address some of the questions I know are running through people's minds right now. First, does this affect everyone or just certain people? Most of the changes related to overpayment and fraud protection apply broadly, but some of the specific enrollment and income-based program changes affect people in particular income brackets or circumstances. The best way to know where you stand is to contact the SSA directly. Second, is my benefit amount changing? Not as a direct result of these policy updates. Your base benefit is calculated separately. What's changing is how certain processes are handled and what protections are in place. Third, I received a letter and I don't understand it. Is it real? Official SSA mail comes from specific addresses, is printed on official letterhead, and does not ask for immediate payment or personal financial information via mail. If you're unsure, call the SSA directly using the number on their official website, not a number printed in the letter itself. Let me tell you about two people, not by name, but by situation, because I know you'll recognize them. The first is a 74-year-old woman in the Midwest who received an overpayment notice for nearly $3,000 from several years back. She panicked. She thought she was going to lose her benefits entirely. She didn't know she could appeal, didn't know she could ask for a waiver, didn't know that her fixed income qualified her for hardship consideration. A family member helped her navigate it, and the entire amount was waived. She never had to pay it back, but she spent 3 months in fear that didn't need to happen. The second is a 68-year-old man living alone who got a phone call saying his Social Security number had been suspended due to suspicious activity and that he needed to call back immediately or face arrest. He was terrified. He almost called the number. His neighbor talked him out of it. It was a scam, one of thousands made every single week. Both of these people deserve better information, sooner. That's exactly what this video is for. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture for a moment. Social Security is not just a government program. It is the financial foundation of retirement for roughly 40% of Americans aged 65 and older. For a significant portion of those people, it is their only source of income. When the system works well, when it's accessible, transparent, and protective, it fulfills a promise that was made to working Americans over generations. When it doesn't work well, the consequences are not abstract. They're personal. They're medical. They're about whether someone eats, whether someone can afford their insulin, whether someone stays in their home or loses it. These policy changes, the overpayment reforms, the verification access improvements, the fraud protections, the healthcare outreach, represent a recognition at the institutional level that the system needed to do better. That's worth acknowledging, and it's worth watching, because the full implementation of these changes will unfold over the coming months. Now, and I say this in the spirit of giving you a complete picture, not everything is solved. The SSA still faces significant staffing challenges. Wait times at some offices remain long, phone lines during peak hours can be frustrating. The transition to new systems and processes is not always smooth, and there will likely be individual cases where things fall through the cracks despite the best intentions behind these policy changes. If you run into a wall, don't give up. Ask to speak with a supervisor. Contact your local congressional representative's office. They have constituent services staff specifically trained to assist with federal agency issues like this, and they can often get faster responses than individuals acting alone. The changes are real and they are meaningful, but they are also being implemented by a large bureaucracy, and patience, along with persistence, will sometimes be required. I want to close with this. You matter. Your security matters. The years you spent working, contributing, and building a life matter, and they deserve to be honored by a system that actually protects you. The fact that you watch this video, that you want to be informed, that you care enough to understand what's happening, that's not a small thing. Knowledge is what stands between fear and confidence. Share this video with your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, your friends. You might be the reason someone gets the help they deserve, or avoids a scam that could have cost them everything. And if you found this helpful, leave a comment, even just to say you watched. It helps this information reach more people who need it. You are not alone in navigating this. You never were. And now you're a little more prepared than you were 15 minutes ago. That's worth something. Take care of yourself and each other.